Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to another fabulous week of English 101. Just a few things I want to call your attention to as we start this first week of August. It's already August. That's wild. I changed the due date on the Project 2 Trial by Media final draft. I posted an announcement about that yesterday, so hopefully you had a chance to take a look at it. Many of you reached out over the weekend and said that there were some issues with being able to see your feedback from Project 1. So working with tech support, I think we got it all sorted. If you still can't see your feedback, please let me know. But the tech guy said we should be good. So yay. And so this extra day is so that you can take the feedback from Project 1 and hopefully translate some of the stuff you learned from that feedback into your Project 2 final draft. For example, if you got a comment on your first essay that said, hey, we need to make some changes in MLA format, you now have time to do that before you turn in the Project 2 final draft. That way, ideally, you won't lose the same kind of points on this second project. So I hope you take advantage of the feedback you got from Project 1 as you make revisions and get that final draft of Project 2 ready. Just a friendly reminder that all the major projects in class, and we have 3, do need to be submitted in order to pass the class. So you got to do Project 1, Project 2, and Project 3 in order to be eligible for a passing grade. So if you have any questions about Project 2, you need some last minute help, please reach out sooner rather than later. You can also check out our late work policy in the syllabus. Work can be submitted up to 10 days late. There is a 10% penalty for each day it is late, though. So keep that in mind as you make your time scheduling choices. So the final draft of Project 2 is due tonight, Monday at midnight, instead of yesterday at midnight. So you have a little extra time on that. This week we are moving into Project 3 because if you take a look at this calendar, we are almost done with summer quarter, guys. Like this week, next week, finals week, and then we're done. Like it's happening so fast. So this coming week, we are working on our cultural analysis essay, and this is the last big project in the class. This is a research-based analysis with an argumentative element. You're going to be looking at an event that was caused by a cultural bias, and you're going to be examining the 2 cultures that came into conflict. You're going to write an analysis of each of those cultures, and then you're going to argue about how bias may have been impactful and how bias can be combated. So we've got a really great article where bias begins that I think you're going to find really helpful, and this is highly recommended to use as one of your sources for this essay. This week you're also going to be taking the implicit bias association test. This test is really interesting because it is put on by Harvard University. I'm just going to walk you through a little bit real quick because there's a couple things you have to click. You have to say, I wish to proceed. Basically, all of this says, I won't sue Harvard because I don't like my results. So don't sue Harvard. And then you're going to select a category of test to take. And what this test is designed to do is to try and identify implicit bias, so bias that we may not be aware of. And so you'll want to pick one of these that you think could influence bias. So almost all of them work. A race test, one specifically looking at Arab Muslims, one about religion, one about Asian Americans, transgender, sexuality, all that's good. Please don't take the president's test just because that kind of bias isn't really what we're looking for in this particular assignment. But you can take the gender and career, disability, age, skin tone, gender and science, weapons and weight. All of that's fine. Just avoid the president's one just because it doesn't really fit this assignment. So you would click on the test you want to take, and then you just continue through. You can give them some demographic information if you want, or you can just decline to answer, which will get you there faster. The test should take about 5 minutes. It really doesn't take very long. And then you are going to answer a few questions about your thoughts on the results. So did the results surprise you? Did it show bias or not? If it did show bias, do you agree that the bias perhaps exists? And if it exists, why do you think it might exist, or how might you combat it in the future? All good things to look at there. The implicit bias test, if it says you have bias, like, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. We all have bias. We've talked about our schemas and how we're all shaped by past events in our lives and our past experiences. So of course, everybody has bias. I took an implicit bias test this morning just to make sure that all the links were still working, because I never ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do. You're welcome. So I took the bias test this morning, and it turns out I have an implicit bias about age, which is a little surprising to me. So that's good. It gives me a moment of introspection that says, hey, how might this exhibit itself in my everyday interactions? Is there something I can do to make my interactions with people of different ages more effective or more just? So all of that is really good information to have. So you will be taking the implicit bias test this week as well. And this is something that you can use in your Project 3 essay. In one of the final paragraphs, you're asked to examine what we can do about bias at the national level, at the local level, and then at the personal level. And so you could discuss some of your implicit bias association test results and subsequent reflections in that paragraph if you wanted to. We've got some really great videos to help you walk through this process. And you will be building an annotated bibliography. So you're going to want to get started on research early. And I've got a whole Prezi from the fabulous librarian Molly Mooney that'll show you how to be successful there. So as always, everything we need is in our modules tab. So if we take a look at the modules here, we're getting close to the end of the class, so you get to keep scrolling. We're in Project 3, recorded lecture on culture, bias, and justice. You're going to be watching that one today on Monday. So please check that out. It is in 2 parts, but that's only because my videos get capped at 15 minutes. So this one's 15 minutes and this one is like 5 minutes. So really it's only 20 minutes. Hang in there, I promise it's not awful. Here is the PowerPoint if you want to be able to look at the slides in more depth. Once again, just like with Project 2, we have a case list, so make sure you check through that. Here's a PowerPoint that kind of goes through it in detail. Here's a Word doc version if you would rather look at that. There are some really great articles you can use for this essay. And so the Truth About Stereotypes article is really, really helpful. I hope that you consider using it as one of your sources in Project 3. And then because this is kind of heavy material, if you need something to cheer you up a little bit, the essay is all about ways people perceive division. So like, this person is different than me, sort of division. There is a very silly song that Saturday Night Live did about the things that bring us together. So if you want to have a little smile after doing some heavy research, this video is pretty funny. It's hilarious. So I put that in there for you as a present. You're welcome. And then all of the stuff you need for the essay. Here's the case list outline and discussing the thesis. Please, please, please watch this before you try and write the thesis and do the outline. Very, very important that you fully understand the project. It's very difficult to be successful to like the A level on a paper if you don't watch these videos. It becomes pretty apparent really quickly who has watched the videos and who hasn't when I'm grading the essays. This was true in Project 1. As I'm looking through Project 2, it's very true in Project 2. So please, 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 please watch these videos. They will help you get a better grade. I promise. Here's the prompt, here's the outline, here's the thesis worksheet. Some of the cases we're working with have YouTube videos, kind of famous YouTube videos associated with them. So if you want to use something like that, here's how to cite that, just because it's a little bit unconventional and something we don't use very often. And then you are asked to do an annotated bibliography for this project. An annotated bibliography is just like a little mini journal that tells me about the research you found. So here is how to find sources for your Project 3 and how to write your annotated bibliography. This talks you through it step by step. Please watch this video. I've got some really interesting metrics in Canvas that tells me who watches what videos. And there's a very, very clear link between who is watching the videos and being successful and who is not watching the videos and is struggling a bit more. So please, please, please watch this video. It's less than 15 minutes. I promise it's not awful. So it'll show you how to find resources in our databases, and it will also talk you through the annotated bibliography. Please, please, please watch it. here's the prompt for writing your annotated bibliography, and here's an annotated bibliography sample that shows you exactly how it needs to be formatted. The annotated bibliography is a separate document from the Project 3 essay. So when we look at our calendar, you are going to be turning in the annotated bibliography on the 16th, separate document, than the essay. You're going to be turning the essay in on Tuesday. Now the essay should have a works cited page, just like all of our other project essays, but you do not put the annotated bibliography in the Project 3 essay. That's a completely separate document. So that's why the annotated bibliography is due on the 16th, the essay is due on the 17th, and then if we're looking ahead, there is an exit essay if you scored less than 60% on the diagnostic essay. I will talk about that in way more detail as we get closer, but that's when the stuff we're working on this week is going to be due. So keep an eye on that as you're planning out your time and trying to be successful here as we wrap up our quarter. As always, if you have any questions, reach out. I'm here to help. And good luck as we get started on Project 3.